Let me hear you, Obi-Wan. Good morning.
Good morning.
Man, it is so good to see you guys today. If you don't know me yet, my name's Chris. I'm one of the pastors here. It's my privilege to share with you today. Hey, just like a couple weeks ago, I was praying one of those scary prayers. I don't know if you have ever prayed a scary prayer before. And I was hesitant. I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it. It was one of those prayers where I wanted to ask God, what do you want for me? But then I was like, what if I don't want the answer? What if it's like, sell everything and move to a country that you don't know of? Or, hey, you're going to have to do this hard thing that you've been avoiding. And God can obviously certainly do those things, but most times he doesn't do those things. And this time I asked him, again, I was hesitant for a little bit. I don't know if you've ever been there. And I was like, God, what do you want for me? And I just felt that he spoke back to my spirit and he said, I want peace for you. And I was like, thank God, thank God it wasn't one of those, that was my first response. Then my second response was like, wow. And I don't want you to hear this wrong. It doesn't mean I don't have any peace, but I just kind of felt like he said, I want you to have new levels of peace. And guys, I remember in that moment and over the next couple days thinking to myself, wow, I'm on edge here. And I didn't even realize it. I'm worried about that. And because I think we get so used to, if God wouldn't have even pointed out to me that I want peace for you, I don't even think I would have noticed, like, I'm on edge here, I'm concerned about that, because I think that's what we just kind of end up doing. It becomes normal to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. It becomes normal to stay on edge. And so have you ever been there? Have you ever noticed yourself on edge? Does it seem like worry is a bigger part of your life than you want it to be? Does it ever affect your patience, your confidence, your outlook on life? When it gets bad enough, lack of peace can affect us physically or even mentally. It may be hard to rest. It may be hard to focus. And man, things can seem really, really hopeless. And I want you to think for a moment, not in the sense of guilt or to bring it up to see you start worrying. I want this to be a reflection moment. God gave me that gift of being able to reflect and be like, I want peace for you. And then I'm like, I don't have it here. I don't have it here. Oh my gosh, I don't have it there. And so this is just a moment for you to reflect. What robs you of peace and puts you on edge? I'm just going to give some examples. Maybe for some of you, it's the future. It's just very unknown, and that can give an edge to you. That's very common. Maybe for some of you, it's the fear of something happening to you, or it's the fear of someone doing something to you. Maybe it's a conflict of some kind. There's a relational conflict in your work life, in your home life, some type of conflict. Maybe it's a money issue. I'm sure we've all been there, more month than money, right? Maybe it's a certain sin that you're struggling with, and you're like, man, I'm really struggling with this, and I don't know what to do with it. It's robbing me of my peace. Maybe it's a guilt or shame that you have. God doesn't even want shame for you, but you're struggling with that, and you're losing peace. Maybe it's political concerns. You're like, man, I just feel so much unrest out there that it makes me feel unrest. Maybe it's chasing after approval of some sort. You're not getting it from someone, and that's what's making you unrest. Maybe it's jealousy or envy of someone else's life, because we can go to the TV, we can go to the radio, we can go out and about, we can go to social media, and we see everybody else's lives, and we see how everybody else's life is better, and that maybe causes some jealousy and some envy, and it causes some unrest in us. Maybe for some of us it's confident issues. I know that I need to do this thing, whatever this thing is, but I'm just not confident about it. And it's causing me to be on edge. Maybe some of you have the FOMOs. Everybody knows what the FOMOs is, right? It's the fear of missing out. It's just like, I don't want to miss out on anything in life. I want all of the things that God has for me. I want life to just be great, but because of that drive, it almost keeps you on edge. Or say this with me. Say FOMO. FOMO. You're like, PK, say it again. FOMO. PK, you're like, what's FOMOs? You're going to get it in a moment. Fear of messing up. Can I speak to the perfectionist in the room for a moment, right? That's a real thing. You're like, I don't want to mess up. I have a good relationship. I have a good career. I love my God. I don't want to mess up. God doesn't expect us to be perfect, church for imperfect people. Yes. But we get on edge about that. Maybe it's poor physical or mental health. You know, the thing is that the things that could keep us on edge, the list could go on and on. And some of these that I listed and some that I didn't, it even gets more confusing because they come from some really deep places of insecurity and fear that we all have. Let me go back to my life for a moment. As God's been taking me through this journey since He revealed that I want peace for you, and knowing that I was going to speak on that this week, at the beginning of the week, just because it was on my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to just, at the beginning of the week here, I'm just going to give to God things that I'm concerned about, that I might be on edge about. I kind of shocked myself. I got to like 4 or 5 things, and it just kind of jolted me back for a moment where I was like, wow, first of all, I wouldn't have even noticed that it was 4 or 5 things if God didn't address peace in my life, number one. But number two, I was like, wow, I can let 4 or 5 things rule me this week, or I can let God take over and give me peace about those things. I have a choice. And we all have a choice. Because while there are many things that can keep us anxious, thankfully, there's someone who wants to give us peace and help us keep it. He wants to help us. He wants to give it to us, and He wants to help us keep it. You know, we've been in this great series called The Names of God, and I want to go to the bigger picture of that for a moment, and then we'll get into the name for today. It's so important to know the different names of God. Because when someone says the name God, it's kind of vague. Who's God? So knowing God's names helps us go from a vague understanding to a deeper understanding of who He is. Because when we understand who He is, it can help us know how to relate and respond to Him. Let me give you an example. When we know that His name, one of His names is God the Father. So we know now that He's not just some kind of cosmic force or cosmic ooze in the sky that's like, how do I connect with God? It's like, no, God is Father, and He can be my personal Father, and I'm His son or daughter. So thankfully, God revealed to us the name God the Father. It's also a way that can help us trust Him more. Again, let me give you a couple examples. I already kind of said this one, but it's in a different way. Is God just some kind of guy in the sky that's removed from my life, or is He someone that can help me? God reveals through His names that He's someone that can help me. Is He just my parents' God? Is He just my grandparents' God? Or can He be my God too? His names reveal that He's a personal God, and that anyone that calls on the name of the Lord, anyone that calls on Jesus, He can be his God too. Amen to that, right? No barriers with God. We put them up all the time in this world. No barriers with God. Anyone calls on my name, anyone calls on Jesus, I will be their God. Is he someone who angrily rules with like an iron rod where he's out to get me at every corner? Or is he someone that can gently guide me in my life and relationships? His names reveal that he's someone that can guide us in this life. So it's so important that we know the names of God so we know how to relate and respond to him, as well as how we can put our trust in him. And one of his names, say it with me, it's going to be up on the screen, Jehovah-Shalom. Everybody say that, Jehovah-Shalom. One of his names is Jehovah-Shalom. It means the Lord is peace. You might not know this, but do you know that Jesus is also given a name with the word peace in it? Listen in Isaiah 9, Isaiah is speaking of the future. Jesus hasn't been born yet, so this is a future event. Obviously, it's a past event now, but when Isaiah was writing, it was a future event, and he says this, "For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders." And then listen to all these awesome names that Jesus is given. "And he will be called Wonderful Counselor." Notice it doesn't say angry therapist, right? It says Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, not wimpy, limp-wristed Jesus. Mighty God, mighty, awesome God, Everlasting Father. Everybody say it with me. What's the last one? Say it again. Prince of Peace. Through his name, Jehovah-Shalom, and through Jesus, God is revealing to us that we can gain peace from him. Now I want to layer this some. The most important peace we can gain from God is peace with him. And a lot of you know this already. We gain that by trusting who Jesus is. He's God. Who's God? Jesus is God. And by trusting and accepting what he did, we know this, our wrongs separate us from God. So Jesus sacrificially took our place and died for us. And to show that death couldn't stop him, he came back to life. Hey, I can't even be defeated by death. That's the mighty God that I am. Don't misunderstand my death. It wasn't some wimpy display. I will come back mightily. And he did come back to life as a mighty God. And when we accept his forgiveness and accept what he's done, we're instantly, not a minute, not a month, not a year, we are instantly forgiven. And we're at peace with God. Many of you know what I'm talking about because you've experienced this before. You were unsettled. You were unsure when it comes to God, or maybe your conscience was too much to bear, but then you accepted Jesus' grace and you felt rested and calm in God. And can I say, if you've never accepted Jesus and who he is and what he's done, I just ask you to, nobody's going to force you, I would just ask you to consider his grace. It's amazing. Guys, I've seen visibly, I've seen the effect peace with God can have on someone before. I'll just share one example. I have more than one, but I only have time for one. I remember one person that was just told from very early on, if you believe this, you can't come to God. And if you believe this, you're going to have a block with God. And you can't do this and you can't do that. And so years and years and years of burden were being added to this person's shoulders about God. And then he finally heard the truth about Jesus Christ. And you could literally physically see after he got done talking to God, it was like years of burden in this breath came off. He went, after he got done talking to God, he took this deep breath, and the only words he knew how to say, holy shiitake. except he didn't say the Aki. I just put that in there so I could say it in church, if you know what I mean. It was the only words that he knew how to use to show that this burden, this unrest, this unsettling that he had with God was now lifted. Because instead of believing the lies that people were telling him, that God's against you and you can't believe in God if you believe in this, he came to the truth. It's so cool that through Jesus, God gives us peace with him and with our forever. Because he didn't have to. He could have been like, maybe. It's still kind of up in the air. We'll see how I feel when you meet me someday. He didn't do that. He gave it to us. And not only does he give it to us for him, with him, not only does he give it to us for our forever, we'll be with God forever, he can also give us peace for this life as well. In fact, listen to a few of Jesus' words the night before he went to the cross. In John 14, he says this, "Peace I'm taking with me. No, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Jesus tells us he's giving us his peace. And it's not just talk with him. It's something he can give. Remember God's name? It means the Lord is kind of like peace. The Lord just has peace. No, the Lord is peace. It's a part of who he is. That's why he can give it to us. And because it's a part of who he is, it's something that he possesses. It's a possession that he passes on to us. Guys, this is so cool. Jesus went from being peace on earth to peace for your hearts. Wow. How personal of a God. How personal of a Jesus. When Jesus was born, what did they announce? Peace on earth. They were talking about Jesus. So Jesus went from peace on earth to peace for your life, to peace for your soul. You see how personal he is? It's part of the inheritance he leaves behind for you. So the question isn't, is God going to give us peace? The question is, are we receiving it? Are we receiving it? I want you to pretend for a moment that you had a long-lost uncle or aunt. You really didn't even know a lot about them, and they, passed away a few years ago, and then you find out that Uncle Fred or Aunt Sally, God bless their soul, left you with $5 million. Thank you, Uncle Fred and Aunt Sally. That would be amazing. You can I think there's a slide for that. That's about 5 million, right? In Bitcoin? No, I don't know. I have no idea. $5 million. Thank you so much. Here's the thing. You can't just know it. It's not going to change your life if you know it. Oh, that's so cool. It's not going to change your life if it just sits in the bank. The inheritance will change your life when you receive it and use it. It's there. It's in the bank. But it won't change your life until you receive it or use it. It's the same with Jesus' inheritance. It's not just about knowing that he is peace. It's not just about knowing that he leaves it for us. It's about receiving and using it to take the edge away and to calm our spirits and lives. It's available to you today. And so maybe some of you are like, that is so awesome, PK, it's available to me. How do I receive and keep it? Because let's be honest, it can feel so elusive at times. It's like, I want it. I want what you're talking about, but I don't have it. I want you to listen into some words from a song of praise that's recorded in the book of Isaiah, and it gives a big hint of how we receive and keep peace. A big hint. I think you're going to get it right away. Isaiah 26. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast. Why are they steadfast? Finish it with me. Because they trust in you. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast. Why are their minds steadfast? Because they trust in you. The way we receive his peace and keep our minds steady and calm is by trusting him. Trust is the little switch that helps us experience his peace. I have this light switch up here, and you'll see it on the screen as well. Most things in this life, some things are powered by batteries, but most things in this life are powered by electricity, and they have an on and off switch. And even though electricity is ready and available to be used, it still must be activated by the switch. You could have all the electricity that ready and available, all the lighting that you need, but it still needs to be turned on. As Christ followers, our switch to activate God's peace that is available to us is trust. And so when we turn on our faith in him, it calms our heart, it guards our minds, and it keeps us steady. Let me give you some examples that I gave at the beginning. Oh my gosh, the future, it's so unknown to me. Wait a minute. You're the God of the future. And let me get more personal. You're the God of my future. Man, I have a fear that something's going to happen to me, or I have a fear that someone's going to do something to me. You know what, God? You can take care of that. You know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm in your hands. Man, I'm having a conflict with someone in relationship. This is really bothering me. And there's nothing wrong with being grieved about something in a relationship. God cares about that. But turning on the switch, God, you know about this conflict. I ask you to steady my heart, and I ask you to do great things in this other person. Man, I have more month than money this time. I don't know. Wait a minute. God, you tell me that you have my tomorrow, and I don't have to worry about tomorrow. There's still 12 days left in the month. You can still do something. Or, hey, man, there's a certain sin that I'm struggling with, and it's making me not feel peace, and I don't even know if God can forgive me, because I used to be told that God's just out to give me if I... No. You know, I have been learning recently that Jesus tells me that he can forgive anything, and nothing's above his grace. I just don't know. The fear of missing out, and a fear of, what if I mess up and stuff? God, you're in control of my life, and you have me right where you want me. And I've even seen in my life where you've taken me from my mistakes into good, because that's how good you are. You see what's happening? During times of worry, unknown, unrest, we keep our minds steady, we keep our spirits calm by flipping the switch and experiencing the light of God's peace. Now, here's what I'm not saying. Just don't want to be misunderstood, because pastors never, ever are misunderstood, are they, right? Here's what I'm not saying. If you just trust God, all your promises are going to disappear, and they're going to go into the rabbit hole, and you'll never see them again. Yes. You'll never have to worry about anything ever again. No. That's heaven. and we're not there yet. Life on earth means when we trust God, we believe he can work and will work on our behalf, through us, around us, to bring about his goodness. And sometimes that's eventually, not now. That he can get us through any circumstance, no matter how painful or scary. And eventually, on the other side of our difficult circumstances, we're going to see his grace and his hope and his goodness. And ultimately, speaking about heaven for a moment, on the other side of life's joys and blessings and troubles and trials is his eternal goodness. And that can even be something we place our confidence in. Guys, faith is so important. It helps us so much that Isaiah encourages us through this song to go all in when it comes to placing our confidence in him. Listen to the very next verse. It says this, Isaiah 26:4, trust in the Lord only when it looks good. Only when it looks good. Only when it feels good. Only when it looks like the outcome's gonna, no, trust in the Lord forever. For the Lord himself is the rock eternal. It's interesting that this song compares God to a rock that's eternal, because a rock in those days would have been considered a source of water, shade, and protection. And when we flip the switch and place our confidence in him, his calm and steadiness protects and guards our minds and our souls. Guys, this is why it's so important that when something or someone is robbing us of our peace, that we remind ourselves that God is near, that he's with us, and that he's here for us. I mean, guys, think about it. God's here right now. Like literally right now, he's here. But he's also there on like Tuesday and Thursday. But that's it. The rest of the days you're screwed because God needs his rest too. No, I'm just teasing. Any other day, God is here. This is why it's so important to take moments throughout the week to engage with him like Pastor Julian has been encouraging us to do. Because here's why. I'll give you an example from my life. I could still be in a room with my wife, with my kids, with my friends, and I can barely feel their presence if I'm distracted and worried about life. And it's the same with God. He's here. But we have to take the moments to engage so that we can experience and know that he's with us and can take care of what we're currently worried about. You know, to be transparent, I wish what I'm talking about today, I wish I had it mastered. I wish I had it mastered, because there's been so many, too many times in my life where I looked back and thought something like, man, God, you did it again. But I wasted a whole month of my life worrying about it. It robbed me of my joy. It robbed me of my life. It robbed me of precious time with family or with you. Man, and I don't say this, don't take it the wrong way. I don't say any of this to make us feel guilty. It's more of a reflection like, man, God, you came through. And if I would have just trusted you a month ago, even though I was going to only see it a month later, I wouldn't have wasted my joy, my peace. You see, when we don't have peace, it makes hard situations harder. It also makes it hard to enjoy the good times or even rest when things are gnawing at you. Why do I know that? Because it's like I said, there's been too many times. But when we have his peace, It can make harder times more manageable, and it allows us to truly rest and enjoy the good times we have. So today, so I have the worship team out here now. Today, I want to give you the opportunity to flip the switch, to take a moment to engage with God, to take a moment to realize that he was here. Guys, even today, just to be more transparent, even this morning, I was feeling alone about something. And then I heard the worship team, there was never a day that you weren't by my side. And I was like, oh, that's all I needed, God, thank you. You've never left my side. Never. Not once. But what did I have to do? I had to stop. I had to reflect. So thank you, worship team, for singing that song this morning. I had to reflect. I had to stop. And I had to realize, why do I feel alone? He's right here. So I want to give you that gift today. And here's the gift. You have two things coming up. You can write it down in your notes, or you can type it into your cell phone. I just want you to be real. God already knows. But I want you to be real, and I want you to be specific. This is robbing me of peace. This is what's keeping me on edge. And don't just say, my kid. Tell God why your kid is robbing you of peace. Tell God why your finances. Tell God why your work. Tell God why your situation. This is robbing me of peace. And then the second one is, again, you can type it in your cell phone. Again, engage with God right now. Jesus, I trust you. Tell him what you're going to trust him with in this situation that's robbing you peace. So this is what we're going to do to give you this moment, this gift. The worship team's going to play that song again. There's never a day that you weren't by my side. And you can do whatever you want. This is just a suggestion. I just want you to sit into your seats, listen to the words, talk to God, and maybe write out a thing or two, or type out a thing or two in your cell phone, and give God the thing that you're worried about. Give God the thing that you're concerned about. Tell him that as you're listening to these words, take the moment to tell God, I'm robbed of this peace, but here's how I'm going to trust in you. Pastor Steve, can you lead us?